bad home inspection can crush profits. What can you do to protect yourself? Home inspectors conduct home inspections, but not all home inspectors are created equal. I've seen everything from home inspectors using inflammatory language to manufacturing misleading and even false home inspection defects. This is called weaponizing a home inspection report. I'll bet you didn't even know weaponizing a home inspection was even a thing. Did you know that if a buyer provides a seller a copy of the home inspection report and the contract fails, the home inspection becomes a required part of all future sellers' disclosure? This can be devastating for a home seller, and buyers' agents know this. In fact, they use these weaponized home inspection reports to hold sellers hostage for huge price reductions. This is an evil, underhanded practice. What you're going to learn in this video will reduce the chances you ever get steamrolled by this ugly home inspection practice. To be perfectly clear, this is in no way a standard practice in either the home inspection or real estate profession, but it does occur. And if you get caught in this trap, you'll regret leaving the door open. Follow this standard guide and you will learn the best way to stop these bad actors in their tracks. It's always prudent to be properly prepared. So, regardless whether you're buying a home or selling a home, you should be aware of the 11 most common inspection pitfalls that catch unprepared home sellers and freak out home buyers. And stick around because as a bonus, you'll learn how to avoid the number one mistake that will kill your real estate contract and make your life miserable. As a second bonus, I'll provide you the complete home inspection checklist so you will know the things home inspectors look for. This inspection checklist provides some amazing inspection tips for sellers to prepare for the home inspector. This is information worth knowing. At the conclusion of the inspector provides a complete home inspection report to the buyer. Deficiencies with the home are detailed in the home inspection report and will be the foundation for home inspection negotiation with the seller. So, negotiation after home inspection is never a pleasurable experience. Anxiety is elevated, and it's not uncommon for emotions to run high. This can lead to contention and ego flare between the buyer and the seller. Neither are conducive to a smooth and healthy transaction, so it's best to avoid conflict at all costs. In almost all standard real estate board contracts, a home inspection contingency is present. The home inspection contingency provides almost an unfair opportunity for the buyer to exert unreasonable power or leverage against the seller. The home inspection contingency allows the buyer to cancel the contract and have his entire earnest money deposit returned if he chooses to cancel the contract over the results of the home inspection report. Sure, the buyer's out the cost of the home inspection fees, but it's the seller who really gets the short end of the stick. It's important to know the things home inspectors look for, but not just the things home inspectors look for, but also the things home inspectors don't look for. Both are equally important, so you know what to pay attention to when getting your home ready for sale. Should you get a whole house inspection before I put my house on the market? Is it better to know or not know about all of my home's defects? With over 1,000 closed home sales, these are the two questions I get asked most often by almost every seller. And the easy answer is yes. It's best to do inspections to fix all the defects and present an almost flawless home to the prospective buyer. However, in reality, this just is not very realistic. There's no one answer for every seller situation because every seller has a different financial circumstance. Every buyer has a different condition expectation. The supply and demand curve is always shifting between a buyer's market and a seller's market, so the level of defects that a buyer is willing to accept changes as market demand shifts. So be aware that any inspection conducted that the seller has seen becomes part of seller's disclosure. Any provable concealment of this information, it creates an unreasonable level of seller liability. Just remember, you can't get hurt telling the truth. If you haven't seen my seller's disclosure video, it's worth taking the time to get a clear understanding of all the ins and outs of disclosure. It is shocking how easy it is to make one innocent mistake that can wreck you financially. It's not fair, and you need to know this information. Keep in mind, every buyer is going to be advised by their agent to conduct inspections, and it includes inspections like whole house mechanical inspection, radon gas inspection, a termite inspection. If there are questions left unanswered from the whole house inspection, often a structural engineer is recommended if we're dealing with foundation issues. At the end of the inspection process, the buyer will have pretty much exposed your home for all of its bad. And the benefit to you is that you didn't have to pay for the inspections. But that's about the only benefit you get out of the deal. No house is perfect. The best report I've ever seen had about 30 minor issues, and the worst had right about 240 with both minor and major issues. You can nip a lot of the minor issues in the bud before the inspector arrives. Check out my video, 30 free and easy fix-its. It is uncanny how we never see our own property deficiencies. Over time, we become inoculated and we just don't see the bad. Don't worry, you're not alone. Almost everyone suffers from the same rose-colored glasses syndrome, but with this comprehensive outline, you'll be able to focus on areas that need attention and can entirely transform how the buyer sees your home. So I'll leave a card at the end. The following are the 11 most common inspection findings home buyers cancel contracts over. I'm in the middle of the country, so as we move through this list, if you can think of something in your region that's a big deal, let me know in the comments below. The goal here is to help you know what to look for, be proactive, and correct the deficiencies before they kill your deal. Now, mechanical inspectors focus on nearly 40 different areas. Here are the 11 most common and costly problem areas. Each in itself could kill a deal. That's why it's critical that you focus on these 11 hotspot issues, prior to listing your home for sale. With this report, you should be able to make a reasonable assessment of the condition and or the repairs that are needed. Also, after these 11 potential deal killers, I will provide you the full comprehensive list of inspectionable items. These are the things you need to review before the inspector shows up at your home for the inspection. Now, first, crumbling foundations. You might be surprised just how concerned a buyer gets about a crack in a basement wall. Is it an overreaction or is it justified? It's truly hard to say without some sort of professional opinion. What you can count on is that in most of the country, seasonal change is the primary catalyst that drives foundation settlement. As time passes, it's not uncommon for the foundation to settle and crack. If this happens, hire an expert and evaluate the problem and take the necessary steps to remedy the problem before it becomes a much bigger problem. Foundation settlement caught early can often be easily addressed and corrected for little expense. If left untreated, what begins as minor movement can quickly develop into a much more severe and expensive problem. Whether it's simple elevation adjustment, a crack epoxy, support post installation, or a full foundation underpinning, buyers do not respond well to surprise foundation issues, but they tend to be much more receptive if a professional has corrected the problem and has offered a warranty on the work. This will go a long way to putting your buyer at ease. You can have faith that this is the number one freak-out reason buyers bail on contracts. It's called FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and it will kill your deal. Address this issue before the home goes on the market, and you'll be miles ahead holding on to your buyer. Roof repairs can be quite affordable. Roof replacement, however, is another story altogether. Now, have a roofer inspect your roof. They have an incentive to uncover provable weather-related damage because it's covered in most cases by your homeowner's insurance policy. On wood roofs, look for missing or curling shingles. Get them replaced before your home goes on the market. Common problems are, damage from wind and poor ventilation in the attic, which will cause your shingles to actually curl. The typical life of a wood roof is 17 to say 23 years. Composition roof 20 to 40 depending on shingle quality. This is an expense most home buyers just simply can't afford. If you're asked to pay for the roof by the home buyer, pay for the roof and be done with it. If you don't and buyer number one cancels the contract, which they probably will, what do you think buyer number two is going to want? That's right, a new roof. In this case, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. Stoops and chimneys. Stoops have a tendency to pull away from the house over the years, and rather than replacing the whole stoop, use concrete to fill the crack. As your homes shift, often cracks will appear in brick chimneys, brick elevations. Again, use any concrete to replace any mortar that may have fallen out of the bricks. It's a cheap, easy fix, and it eliminates a lot of FUD. Termites are unfortunately more common than your state bird. They're everywhere, and they can cause extensive damage if not found and dealt with professionally. Check outside under wood piles, splash blocks, rocks, railroad ties. Don't take chances with this. Many companies will do inspections for free. Believe me, they will look hard for the termite evidence because they want to do the business. Hire a pro and solve the problem early, on your terms and on your budget. This should be done as standard homeowner maintenance. In many real estate contracts, the seller agrees to pay for the termite treatment if termites are uncovered during the inspections anyway, so you may as well get the treatment done before you put your house on the market. A dry rot is a process that actually rots the wood. It's commonly associated with exposure to the elements over an extended period of time. You will see this where maybe caulk or paint has failed. The common locations are exterior trim, door jambs, window jambs. In many cases, simple wood putty will do the trick. Dig out the rot, fill with putty, let it dry, and caulk and paint. This is a cheap and easy fix, but it unreasonably scares a lot of buyers, so it's better to just get it done. Safety and security. FHA and VA buyers have separate government lender inspections. This is generally no big deal. The focus is primarily on safety issues like, missing electrical receptacle covers, switch plate covers, missing handrails, torn screens, faulty window locks. They also look at attic insulation and roof life expectancy. Failure on any of these issues will cause delays because a follow-up inspection by the government will be required. Heating and cooling. The best thing you can do is have it serviced. Have the servicing company leave some evidence on the unit that it was inspected and checked out as okay on a recent date. This will give your buyer peace of mind. Again, this is a major expense, and buyers do cancel contracts over this issue. Poor electrical wiring. This is common. Over the years, we've all seen it. We think we're qualified to add electrical wiring to our home. Often, however, electrical code violations, they'll be caught on inspections. A common problem is double lugging or double tapping circuit breakers. This is where two or even more wires are connected to one breaker. If this is the case, get a certified electrician to solve the problem. This is usually an inexpensive repair item, and inspectors love to make a mountain out of this molehill. Plumbing problems. Look, leaky faucets, they don't show well, and inspectors, they love to point this out. Often nothing more than, say, a 10-cent rubber gasket is going to fix the problem. Also, if your plumbing pipes are exposed in the basement, look for any calcium buildup. This is evidence of a possible water leak. Leaking foundation. Look, as soil expands and contracts due to seasonal climate change, foundations shift, they crack, and they allow water to enter. Inspectors, they can smell a damp basement from a mile away, and they'll find the source if it's not concealed by sheetrock. Regardless, if you have a leaky basement, get it repaired. Get it repaired by a reputable foundation company. This will save you all kinds of headaches down the road. Peeling paint will be red flagged every time by the inspectors, and it creates an unacceptable condition in your buyer's mind. Take the time to simply scrape and repaint the areas that need attention. Government financing programs, just so you know, will not be approved if paint is peeling. That's FHA and VA. The number one mistake that home sellers make is allowing the buyer to do inspections on an unprepared home. I've included screenshots of the things home inspectors look for, and just as important, the things they don't. I'm going to quickly display each inspection area alphabetically. If you want to review, just pause the video. Also, I've included a link in the description that you can download the PDF. In addition, if you're finding this information useful, please let me know with a like. It makes all the difference in the world, and if you'd do that for me, I'd really appreciate it, so thank you for that. With that said, to maintain your sanity, always remember, it's better to catch and repair the problems before the buyer has a chance to start building their laundry list of defects. The fewer items on the inspection report, the better the chances of closing the sale. Look, in reality, this is just how it plays out. Virtually everyone does inspections. The good agents will help the buyer understand that, look, not all homes are perfect, and it's best to overlook the 30 small things on the inspection report. Essentially, the more important and certainly critical items will be addressed, like, the roof, foundation, and the HVAC system. Take into consideration the stark reality. If the buyer asks for repair or replacement of any of these three critical items and the seller declines, there's a pretty good chance the buyer's going to walk. The seller will then have to start entirely over looking for a new buyer, except this time with an ugly inspection report attached. Here's the craziest part of this whole inspection process, and it's that at the end, the seller usually ends up treating the inspection report as a punch list of repairs. The seller essentially fixes everything when it could have just been a couple of things at the beginning with buyer number one. What's worse, now that the seller's home isn't, fresh and new on the market, finding buyer number two isn't going to be quite as easy because agents are often a bit gun shy on flipped sales, which almost always leads to extended days on the market followed by a price reduction. So whatever you do, work hard to get buyer number one closed or be prepared to suffer the consequences. Always be aware, if you lose buyer number one over inspections, what do you think buyer number two is going to want? For all parties, inspections are by far the worst part of the real estate transaction and can make or break your deal. Whatever corrections can be made in advance will improve the experience for everyone. The best way to thrive through inspections is to conduct inspections and correct all the inspectionable items prior to listing the home for sale. Nothing is more satisfying and stress relieving to a buyer than being handed a 30-page inspection report and then being handed all the documentation verifying that all the corrections have been made by qualified contractors. Shazam! If you want to win, this is the way it's done. In reality, this is typically done only after buyer number one has been lost and the seller is struggling to procure buyer number two. Get inspections, repair deficiencies, and always price your home correctly, which leads me into a great video. Insider secrets to pricing your home to sell fast and for top dollar. This video is solid gold insider information. There is a shocking deception deeply entrenched into the real estate industry that can crush your sell profits, and nearly every seller is a perfect target. Even worse, sellers become willing victims without even knowing. But once you understand how the scam is run, you'll never fall victim to this underhanded tactic that can totally undermine your home sale. Hey, look, with over 1,000 homes sold, take advantage of my knowledge. If you have a question or want a topic covered, let me know in the comments below. Check out Insider Secrets to Pricing Your Home to Sell Fast and for Top Dollar. You'll learn a shocking fact about a nasty deception run by realtors against their clients. Also, be sure to watch 30 Free and Easy Fix-Its and be sure to grab the free download. Thanks for the like, and I will see you on the flip side.